The sun burned high above the crowded alien marketplace. Hundreds of feet walked past Boots. Claws, hooves, but no one looked down. No one saw her. She lay on the hot stone ground, her body shaking, lips dry, eyes wide with pain and hunger. Her bones pushed through her thin green skin. Her once bright eyes were now dull. Her long silver hair was tangled and dirty, sticking to her face. She was no more than a shadow of a woman. Her name was Zila, but no one remembered that she had not eaten in days. She had no credits, no clothes, no hope. Her voice was almost gone, but she still whispered, "Food. Anything. Please." She tried to lift her hand, reaching out to a passing trader. He looked down at her with disgust. "Dirty thing," he muttered and kicked dust into her face. She coughed but didn't stop begging. She saw a group of armored guards eating fruit and meat. She crawled a little closer and lowered her head. "I will do anything," she said weakly. "Take me, use me, just give me food." One of the guards laughed. "Even starving, you think someone wants you?" He tossed a rotten fruit at her. It hit her arm and rolled away. The others laughed and walked off. Tears filled Zila's eyes, but she didn't cry. She had no energy for tears. Her hands shook as she pulled herself to a wall and sat back. Her stomach growled loudly, a painful sound that echoed in her ears. Children walked by and pointed at her. "Mama, why is she so ugly?" one asked. The mother pulled the child away quickly, saying, "Don't look. She's one of them." Zila closed her eyes. She had once worn fine robes. She had once lived in a house full of light. She had once danced under stars. Now she was just a thing in the street. Less than an animal. She tried to stand but fell hard. Her elbows scraped on the stone. Blood came out slowly, dark and thick. That was when she saw a shadow stop in front of her. Boots. Not alien boots. Not clawed feet. Simple, brown, worn-out human boots. She looked up slowly, expecting another insult. Another laugh, but the man didn't laugh. He crouched down. He was tall, with short brown hair and tired eyes. His face was kind, though rough. He wore a jacket with patches and dust. "Hey," he said softly. "Are you hurt?" Zila blinked. She didn't understand at first. No one had spoken to her kindly in so long. Do you want water?" He asked again. She opened her mouth, but no sound came. He reached into his pack and pulled out a small water bottle. He opened it and gently lifted her head. Slowly, carefully, he let her drink. The water was warm, but it was like heaven. She drank too fast and coughed. "Easy, easy." Zila looked at him. "Why?" she whispered. The man tilted his head. "Why what? Why help me?" He looked around. No one had stopped. People stared but didn't care. Some even looked angry. He shrugged. "Because you needed help." "I have nothing," she said. "I can't pay. I can't serve. I can't." He smiled gently. "Then I won't ask for anything." Zila's eyes filled with tears. He offered his hand. "My name's Jason. Come on, let's get you off this ground." She stared at his hand. No one had touched her in weeks. Not with care. Slowly she reached out, and her fingers touched warmth. His grip was firm, but gentle. He helped her up, but her legs gave out. Without a word, he picked her up in his arms. She was light, too light. The crowd watched in silence as the human walked through the market, carrying the starving alien woman no one wanted. Someone called out, "She's not worth it, human." Jason didn't answer. Someone else shouted, "She bring you trouble." He kept walking. Zila's head rested on his chest. For the first time in weeks, she felt warmth. For the first time in weeks, she felt safe. As the sun began to set, the human carried her into the shadows, away from the noise, away from the hate, toward something unknown. But one thing was clear. She had been left to die. And he had chosen to care. Zila woke to warmth. Not fire. Not the burning sun of the streets. This warmth was soft, gentle, Clean. She opened her eyes and saw something strange. A roof. Real walls. A bed made of cloth and wood. A light blinking gently from a heater in the corner. She wasn't outside anymore. Her body ached, but she was dry, covered, safe. She turned her head slowly and saw him, the human. He was sitting nearby, resting in a chair. His head was down, arms crossed. He had fallen asleep watching her. She tried to speak, but her throat was dry. She let out a small sound. Jason opened his eyes quickly. He stood up and walked over. Hey, it's okay. You're safe now. She blinked again. Where am I? My place, he said. It's not fancy, but it's quiet. No one will bother you here. Zila tried to sit up, but her body trembled. Jason gently helped her. She noticed something on the table beside her. Food, real food. Soft bread, fruit slices, warm broth. Her eyes locked on it, but her hands stayed frozen. You can eat, he said. All of it's for you. She looked at him with doubt. No price? Jason shook his head. No price. She reached for the bread slowly like a wild creature expecting a trap. But nothing happened. She took a bite, and tears fell from her eyes. She covered her face. I forgot what food tastes like, she whispered. Jason sat back down. You were half dead in that market, if I hadn't seen you. Zila looked up, her hands still shaking. Why did you stop? He shrugged. Everyone else walked past you. I couldn't do the same. She stared at him for a long moment. Most people think I'm nothing. Less than dirt. Jason leaned forward. I don't care what they think. You're not nothing. You're alive. And that's enough. Silence filled the room. She took another bite, slower this time. Then a sip of broth. Her body relaxed. Jason stood up. I'll give you some time. You can rest, wash up. There's clean clothes in that drawer. They might be big, but it's better than what you had. She paused. You're not afraid of me? He smiled a little. Should I be? Zila thought about it. I used to be someone powerful, before everything was taken. Before I was thrown out like trash. Jason's voice was calm. Maybe that part of you is still there, just hidden under the pain. He left the room quietly, giving her space. Zila sat there in silence, staring at the food, the walls, the blanket. Everything felt like a dream. Her hands touched the soft cloth of the blanket, and she whispered, why would anyone care for someone like me? And in the next room, Jason, with a bandaged hand from carrying her through the sharp ruins, looked out the window and said to himself, because no one else did. It started with whispers, soft, ugly, poisonous. Did you hear? The human took her home. The street beggar? Yes, the filthy alien girl who offered herself for food. He must be using her. Why else would anyone keep trash like that? The words drifted through the town like smokefowl, choking everywhere. Jason heard them. He ignored them, but Zella heard them too. And every word cut deeper than the last. Jason's shelter stood at the edge of the settlement. It was built from scraps of metal and old starship parts. Not beautiful, but safe. And now warm, inside. Zila was learning how to stand without shaking. Her skin still clung tightly to her bones, but her eyes were sharper, brighter. She could walk a little, eat on her own, speak more clearly. She even smiled once. But when she stepped outside, the stairs stabbed her like knives. A mother pulled her child away from her. A merchant shut his window as she walked past. One man spat on the ground and said, he should have left her where she was. Zila said nothing. She only turned around and went back inside. Jason came home one evening to find her sitting silently on the floor, staring at her hands. You okay? He asked gently. Zila didn't answer. He sat down next to her. They've been talking, huh? She gave a small nod. They hate me, she whispered. They hate you too, because of me. Jason shrugged. Let them talk. Words don't break bones. She looked up at him. But they break something else, Jason sighed. They don't know you, Zila. If they did, they'd be thanking you. Her voice cracked. I used to teach children. I could speak 5 languages. I was trusted with maps and messages during the war. Now I'm just a beggar who eats someone else's food. Jason shook his head. No, you're someone who survived. That night, while Jason was outside fixing the fence, Zila quietly picked up a cloth and started cleaning the floor. Then the table. Then the windows. The next morning, Jason walked in, blinked, and laughed. Wow, this place hasn't looked this good in years, she smiled shyly. I can cook too, a little. If you find ingredients, Jason grinned. Deal. But the peace didn't last. Later that day, 2 local aliens stood outside Jason's home. One was tall and sharp-eyed. The other carried a tool that could be a weapon. Jason stepped out. Need something? The tall one spoke. We're just worried about you, human. That thing you brought in? She's dangerous. Jason narrowed his eyes. She's not a thing. Her name is Zila. She's bad news, the shorter one sighed. People are scared. If you care about your place here, you'll send her away. Jason crossed his arms. Tell the people to stop being cowards. The taller one leaned in. Don't say we didn't warn you. They walked off. Inside, Zila stood behind the door. She had heard everything. When Jason came back in, she spoke quickly, almost panicked. You should have let them take me. Never, he said. They'll ruin your life, she whispered. Jason looked her in the eyes. You saved my life. Zila frowned. What do you mean? He stepped closer. Before I met you, I was just existing. Waking up, eating, working, sleeping. Empty. Now there's someone here, a reason to wake up. Her breath caught. She turned away, hiding tears. That night, they sat outside together. Quiet stars filled the sky. Zila pointed up. Do you see that one? The small red star near the big blue one? Jason nodded. That was my home system. I haven't seen it in years. Jason looked at her gently. Do you want to go back someday? She was silent for a long time. Then she said softly, I don't think I belong there anymore. He looked at her and smiled. Maybe you belong here. With someone who believes in you. She looked at him, and for the first time since they met, she didn't feel like a broken thing anymore. She felt human. He didn't speak. He didn't move. But she could feel him. Zila froze in the middle of the street. The small bag of vegetables slipped from her hand. Her heart began to race. Her vision blurred. Her breathing turned shallow. Across the road, between the merchant stalls and dusty crates, stood a tall figure in black armor, cold metal, sharp red eyes, and a scar across his jaw. It was him. Commander Varric, the man who once owned her. The man who broke her. The man who laughed when she screamed. He was alive. He was here, and he had seen her. Zey Lu turned and ran, dropping everything. She didn't care. Her feet burned as they hit the stone path. Her breath came out in sharp gasps. The town spun around her. She didn't stop until she slammed the door of Jason's shelter shut behind her. Jason stood up from the workbench. Zila, what happened? She didn't speak. She couldn't. She backed into the corner, wrapped her arms around herself, and slid to the floor, her eyes wide, her hands shaking. Jason rushed over and knelt beside her. Talk to me. I saw him, she whispered. Who? Commander Varric, she said, her voice cracking. He was in the town. He looked straight at me. Jason frowned. Who is he? She stared into nothing. He was my master during the war. That night, Zila finally spoke more peace. By peace, like digging up buried bones. He wasn't just any officer. He was part of the Death Legion. They raided towns and took women like me for pleasure and punishment. Jason's fists clenched. He said I was smart, that I was his favorite. But to him, that meant hurting me in ways that don't leave marks. Jason tried to control his breathing. One day I escaped during a supply raid. I ran and never looked back. I thought he'd died when their ship crashed. Her voice broke. Jason spoke softly. He's not taking you again. Not while I breathe. The next morning, Jason left early to go to the town watch station. He demanded they arrest Commander Vorak, but the officer just smirked. Do you have proof he's a war criminal? Jason's eyes narrowed. You want scars? She has those. The officer shrugged. She's an alien. You're just a human farmer. Vorak's an ex-military traitor now protected by law. Jason's fists tightened. He enslaved her. Then bring evidence. Or drop it. Jason walked out with fire. In his chest, back home, Zilla had packed a small bag. Jason walked in and stared at her. No, he said flatly. I should leave, she whispered. If I stay, he'll hurt you. Jason stepped forward. He already hurt you. I'm not letting him do it again. But I'm not worth dying for, she shouted, tears falling. I'm not even worth fighting for. Jason's voice cracked. That's not true. Silence. Then he walked to the drawer, pulled out an old item, a steel bracelet. You see this? He said. This belonged to my sister. She died in the war. I couldn't save her. He held her gaze. But I can save you. That night, someone knocked on the door. Jason opened it slowly and saw a message carved into a broken piece of wood. She's mine. Give her back before I take her. No name, but they both knew who left it. Zilla stood behind Jason, gripping the doorframe. I'm not running anymore, she said quietly. But I won't let him touch me again. Jason turned to her. Then we fight. Jason couldn't sleep. Not with war at his door. He sat at the window, a weapon in his lap, watching the shadows move outside. Every creak, every whisper of wind, every footstep in the night made his grip tighten. Behind him, in the dim candlelight, Zilla lay awake, too silent, curled under a blanket, eyes open wide. She didn't speak. She didn't cry. She was remembering chains, remembering cold walls, remembering him. Commander Vorak was coming. He had promised to take her back, but this time, she was not alone. The next morning, Jason prepared. He set traps near the back door. He reinforced the windows. He checked the old blaster twice. It only had 3 shots left. Not enough, he muttered. Zilla sat nearby, watching him with quiet fear. You should let me go. Maybe if I walk away, he won't hurt you. Jason stopped and turned to her. I already told you, I'm not losing another person to the war. Zilla swallowed hard. But I'm not. You are someone, Zilla, he said, voice low. And I will protect you, no matter what it takes. As night fell, silence took over the settlement. Too silent. Jason stood by the door, ready. Zilla stood beside him. She was shaking, but not from fear, from rage. I'm done hiding, she said. If he wants to see the weak slave he broke, he won't find her here. Jason nodded once. Good, because tonight we stand. Then it began. A crash at the back wall. A flash of red eyes through the window. Voices in the dark. Come out, human. We just want what's ours. Jason fired one warning shot. Silence. Then a voice echoed across the ground, cold, cruel, and familiar. Zilla, Commander Vorak called. I gave you comfort. I gave you purpose. And this is how you thank me. Hiding behind a broken human? Jason stepped out, blaster raised. Vorak stood with 3 armed men. You can't win this, Vorak said. Give her to me. Walk away alive. Jason stared at him. She's not yours. She never was. One of Vorak's men moved forward. Bang. Jason fired, hit him in the leg. The man screamed and dropped. I have 2 more shots, Jason said calmly. Want to see where they go? Vorak snarled. Kill him. The 2 remaining thugs rushed forward. Jason fought hard, striking one with the weapon's handle. dodging the other's blade. He got cut across the arm but didn't stop. Suddenly crack. A wooden board smashed into one thug's head from behind. Zayla stood there, her hands shaking but eyes burning. "I'm not your slave," she said, breathing heavily. "I'm not your toy. I'm not your anything." Jason staggered beside her, blood on his sleeve. "That's my girl." Commander Vorak stood alone now, staring at them both. He laughed once. "You think this is over?" Jason stepped forward. "No, I think this is the beginning." Vorak reached for his weapon, but behind him, town guards arrived. Locals too. Eyes wide. People holding farming tools, cooking knives, whatever they could carry. One of the guards raised a light and said, "You've been seen, Vorak. Your time is done." She used to flinch when someone raised their hand. Now she raised her own to help others. Zila stood in front of a small group of alien children, holding a book in her hand. The children listened, their big eyes wide with wonder. Her voice was calm. Her back was straight. She was no longer the starving woman begging for crumbs in the street. Now she was teaching, and the same town that once turned their heads away was now watching her with respect. It had only been a few days since Commander Vorak was dragged away by the guards. He screamed her name. He made threats, but Zila didn't hide this time. She stood in front of everyone as they took him. Jason never left her side. She thought people would hate her more, that they'd blame her for the trouble, that she'd have to run again. But something unexpected happened. The baker's wife brought her warm bread. The blacksmith gave her a sharp kitchen knife. "For safety," he said with a nod. A mother knocked on their door with 2 small children. "They don't have school, would you teach them something?" "Anything." Zila had blinked, confused. "Why me?" The woman replied, "Because you're brave and kind, and you're still standing." That's how it started. 2 children became 6. Then 10. Zayla began teaching simple words, drawing shapes in the dirt, telling stories from her home planet. Children laughed again, their eyes shone. And every time she saw their smiles, a broken part of her healed a little more. Inside the shelter, Jason watched her through the window. He smiled quietly. "She's glowing," he whispered to himself. Zila came in later, holding a child's drawing of a star and a stick figure woman with silver hair. "They said it's me," she chuckled. "And bet I live in the sky," Jason grinned. "They're not wrong." She sat beside him. "Why are they being kind now? Why didn't they help me before?" Jason leaned back. "Because people are scared of what's broken. But when they see it fixed, when they see someone rise again, it gives them hope." She was quiet, then said softly, "You fixed me." Jason shook his head. "No, you did. I just held out a hand." Later that night, as they ate dinner together, Jason pulled something from his pocket. It was a small pin shaped like a star, carved from scrap metal. "I made this," he said. "For you. A little something to say, I see you, all of you." Zila touched the pin like it was made of gold. "I never got a gift before. Not a real one." Jason smiled. "Then it's your first of many." Outside, some of the same townsfolk who once whispered behind Jason's back were now whispering again. But this time, that alien woman, she's something else. She's strong. Did you see her speak to the guards? My child hasn't stopped talking about her. The whispers had changed, from disgust to admiration, from doubt to respect. Zayla, once seen as worthless, now had value beyond words. The first time she stood in that marketplace, she begged for crumbs. Now when she entered, the crowd moved aside with respect in their eyes. Zila walked slowly, wearing a long cloak, her silver hair clean and tied back, a small star-shaped pin shining near her heart. Children waved. Traders greeted her. The same streets where she once lay in the dirt now carried her footsteps with pride. At her side walked Jason. He didn't wear a crown. He didn't carry a weapon, but people still looked at him as if he were something great. Because he had seen her when no one else did. That morning, Zila stood in front of a large group gathered outside the old market. She had been invited to speak, to lead something no one would have imagined just weeks ago. She held up a small, broken chain. "This," she said, voice clear and steady, "was once around my wrist." People shifted uncomfortably. No one dared speak. It meant I was owned. It meant I had no name, no value, no freedom. She held it higher, "But now I keep it. Not as a memory of pain, but as proof of how far we can rise." The crowd was silent. Some were crying. She smiled gently. "None of us are born worthless. Sometimes we just need one person to believe in us." Jason looked at her with quiet pride. After the speech, many approached, thanking her, hugging her, asking for help, advice, or simply to be near her. Zila didn't turn anyone away, even those who once called her trash. One young alien girl came forward nervously. "Miss Zila, will you teach me too?" Zila knelt and took her hand. "Of course. You're already braver than most." Later that evening, Jason and Zila returned home. The sky was turning pink. Lights from distant moons began to flicker. Jason sat near the fire, sharpening tools. Zila came beside him, holding something in her hand, a small box. "I found this today," she said shyly. "It's not much, but I wanted to give you something." Jason opened the box slowly. Inside was a thin ring, shaped from the same chain that once bound her. It had been cleaned, reshaped, and gently polished. Zila looked at him, eyes soft. "For the man who made me feel human again." Jason didn't speak. He just held her hand. She whispered, "You picked me up from the dirt, Jason. Now I can stand beside you." In the distance, a traveler stopped in town and asked a local, "Who's the woman they all follow?" The local smiled. "That's Zila, the alien woman no one wanted, the one the humans saved." The traveler nodded. "And now?" The local laughed softly. "Now? She's the heart of this place. She's living proof that even the broken can lead, if someone just gives them a chance."